Ever catch yourself saying, I think, way too much?
Yeah.
Like it's glued to every sentence.
Right. Happens to the best of us.
Well, today's deep dive is all about kicking that habit to the curb. We're going to explore how to sound more confident, more fluent, basically, how to really own what you're saying. We've got a whole bunch of I think alternatives to unpack, but, and this is key, we're not just giving you a word swap. We're diving into the why behind the words, the strategy, the how to actually make it work in conversation.
And it's amazing how much power these little tweaks have. See, swapping out, I think, for something more, shall we say, refined, it does more than just make you sound fancy. It changes how people perceive you, how your message lands. We're talking about influence, about becoming a more effective communicator overall.
Music to my ears. So should we just jump right in with these alternatives then?
Yeah.
Our first contender is, in my opinion, sounds pretty standard.
It is, and that's not a bad thing. In my opinion, it's like this clear signal flare to your listener. It's you saying, hey, here's my personal take on this. Works wonders in formal situations like, you know, a debate or an academic paper, sets the stage for a respectful back and forth.
Got it. So how about from my perspective then? Does that hit different?
It does. From my perspective, is all about your unique angle, how you see things based on your experiences and whatnot. Especially useful when you're dealing with subjective stuff, you know, where everyone's got their own take.
I like that. It encourages people to actually listen, even if they don't see eye to eye. Okay, up next, and I'll admit, I'm guilty of this one. It seems to me.
That one suggests you've given it some thought, haven't jumped to conclusions, adds this weight to your words, you know, like you're not just throwing opinions around, you've actually considered things.
So instead of, I think this design is better, it seems to me this design is more on brand. Subtle difference.
But a powerful one. Shows you're coming from a place of, well, thoughtfulness.
All right, this next one's interesting. As far as I'm concerned, what's the vibe here?
Oh, as far as I'm concerned, that's you planting your flag. Politely but firmly, you're stating your piece while acknowledging others might disagree. Useful when you need to set boundaries or in, say, negotiations.
Right. It's like saying, this is my stance, take it or leave it. Strong, we got to pick up the pace a bit if we want to cover all of these, but it's fascinating how each phrase has these little shades of meaning, you know?
That's exactly it. The more aware you are of these nuances, the more control you have over your message. You become a verbal surgeon.
Love it. Okay, quick recap. We've covered, in my opinion, from my perspective, it seems to me, and as far as I'm concerned, and it's just the tip of the iceberg, people. We've got heavy hitters like I believe and I feel that still to come, plus a few curveballs that'll really
spice things up.
Exactly. So stick around, because we're about to unlock a whole new level of, I think, free fluency.
And remember, this isn't about memorizing a list. It's about understanding how to use language strategically.
Yep.
We're talking about persuasion, influence, connection, the works.
Couldn't have said it better myself. We'll be back in a flash to keep this word party going. Don't go anywhere.
Wouldn't dream of it.
All right, back to these, I think, alternatives. We've covered a good chunk already, but now we're getting into some really interesting territory. Ready to dive back in?
Born ready. Let's do this.
Okay. This next batch is all about owning your thoughts, making it clear these are your beliefs. First up, I believe.
A classic for a reason. I believe. It's simple, it's direct, it's you putting your convictions out there.
No beating around the bush, huh?
Exactly. It's especially effective when you're talking about values, principles, things that matter deeply to you.
So instead of, I think honesty is important, it's, I believe honesty is essential for a strong relationship.
There you go. See the difference? It's more powerful, more impactful. You're not just thinking it, you're owning it.
Okay, I'm liking this. Now, what about I feel that? How does that one play out?
I feel that is interesting because it brings in an emotional element. It suggests you're not just talking about logic and reason, but about something you genuinely feel in your gut.
Right, so it could be useful in situations where you need to be, like, empathetic or understanding.
Absolutely. Imagine you're talking to a friend who's going through a tough time. Saying, I feel for you, I've been there, is going to resonate much more strongly than a detached, I think you're going through a lot.
Makes sense. Like, you're not just acknowledging their situation, you're connecting with them on a deeper level. Okay, next up, we have, in my view.
In my view. This one has a slightly more formal tone, wouldn't you say? Like, it's well suited for professional settings or when you want to emphasize your expertise on a topic.
So picture this. You're in a meeting discussing a new marketing campaign. Instead of, I think we should target a younger demographic.
You say, in my view, targeting a younger demographic aligns with our long-term growth strategy.
Ooh, fancy. I see what you mean. It just sounds more, I don't know, authoritative. Like you're not just sharing an opinion, you're offering an informed perspective.
Precisely. You're positioning yourself as someone who's thought this through, who has the knowledge and experience to back up their viewpoint.
Okay, next one. Let's talk about it's my belief that.
Now, it's my belief that.
Right.
This one's interesting because it adds a layer of, well, belief. It's like saying, this isn't just a fleeting thought. This is something I hold to be true.
So it's good for when you're talking about things you're really passionate about, like issues that are close to your heart.
Absolutely. Think about social causes, political views, things that really get you fired up. It's my belief that everyone deserves access to quality education has a lot more weight than a simple, I think education is important.
Totally. You're not just stating a fact, you're making a declaration. Okay, now for a phrase that's a little less serious, a little more conversational, if you ask me.
Oh, that one's great for lightening the mood, making it clear that you're just sharing your 2 cents. It's perfect for casual conversations, when you don't want to come across as too preachy or opinionated.
So instead of, I think pizza is the best food ever.
You could say, if you ask me, pizza is the ultimate comfort food.
Way more fun, right? Like you're inviting the other person to share their thoughts too. It's less about being right and more about starting a conversation.
Exactly. And finally, we have to my mind, which is similar to, in my view, but less formal. It presents your perspective, but invites further discussion.
Wow, we zoomed through those last few. It's incredible how many ways there are to say what you think without ever actually saying, I think.
It's about choosing the right tool for the job, finding the phrase that best conveys the nuance of what you want to say.
And the more you practice, the easier it gets. Right?
Absolutely. Think of it like learning a new language. At first, it takes conscious effort, but soon it becomes second nature. You start speaking with more intention, more confidence.
So to wrap things up, we've armed you with a whole arsenal of, I think, alternatives, each with its own unique flavor and impact. Now it's up to you to put them into practice. Experiment, play around, see what feels right in different situations, and most importantly, have fun with it.
And here's something to ponder. What if, instead of simply stating your opinion, you aim to convince someone, persuade them, or inspire them with your words? Think about how these alternatives can help you achieve that.
Boom. There you have it, folks. Another deep dive in the books. Now go forth and conquer those conversations with your newfound eloquence.